Now that we've completed the twist bones on the left side, let's go ahead and take care of that on the right. So we can reuse what we've used on the left side, bring that over to the right. Starting with the upper arm, we'll go ahead and grab those twist bones and mirror. Okay, so we can use about a value of, let's say, -12 initially, and then go in and set these up to follow the orientation of this arm by grabbing the last two, linking to the first, selecting the first, using Alt-A to align it to our bone. It's going to flip, but that's no problem. All we need to do is head over to our rotate tool, make sure our angle snap is active, and rotate that 180 degrees, or -180. From there we can select the last two, unlink, select them all, link that back to the arm bone, and then freeze their transformations. From there we can go ahead and rename these. So this is actually going to be C01 and R. Copy the name, go to the next, paste, rename, and do the same for the first one, which will be A. Okay, now that that's taken care of, we can go ahead and bring over our forearm bones. So let's go ahead and get all of those selected and mirror over. Oh, don't want to go too far. Say about a value of -41 would be a good initial amount, and then we can go in again. Make sure that these last two are going to be linked to the first. Select the first, Alt-A, align that to the forearm. Rotate that -180 degrees, or positive in this case. And then with our move tool set to local, we'll just move this down so we are moving down the orientation of the arm. Alright. Once that's set up, you can go ahead and unlink the last two. Select all three and make sure that they're going to be linked to the forearm bone. And then finally, we'll just want to make sure that their transformations are frozen, they're renamed, and then stored in the envelope objects layer. So this first one, or the last I should say, that's actually C01. And we'll want to change that L. Copy, paste. It's going to be B, and then finally A. Okay, let's go ahead and select all of these and place them under the envelope objects layer. Okay, so now it's time to bring over our twist controls. So again, starting with the upper arm, we'll press Ctrl V to clone a copy. We can rename it from here. It's going to be R, arm twist 01. We'll want to go ahead and freeze it to unlock it, and then we can move this over. So I'll use Alt-A and align that to the right arm. Now that that's done, we'll use Shift-A and align it so it'll be centered right at that last envelope twist bone. Okay, once that's done, we go ahead and link this back to the arm. We can now freeze its transformations, head over to the curve editor, and again we're only locking the Y and Z, leaving the X. The scale should already be done. That takes care of that. So lastly, we could just go ahead and recolor it. Okay, so now we can bring over the forearm twist. We'll go ahead and again Control V, rename it, choose OK. We'll need to freeze it, alt align it to the forearm, and then from there we can Shift A align it to our middle twist bone so it's centered. And then let's go ahead and link that to the forearm, freeze its transformations, head over to the curve editor, lock what we need to lock. And once that's done, we'll go ahead and select both of these, head over to the layer manager and store these underneath the control objects layer. Okay, I'll also definitely want to recolor this one. Just trying to present like it's on the left side. Okay, let's say we go ahead and apply and edit poly to our arm and forearm. So I'll just go ahead and convert that. Do the same for the forearm. And then in its vertex subobject, we'll go ahead and adjust its shape. Whoa, undo. Want to make sure that we're in our select tool. Going to our move tool, we'll make sure we're under parent space. And then we can go ahead and move this into position. Once that's done, we'll do the same for the forearm. All right. Now that that's done, let's say we set up our wire parameters to finish up here. So we'll bring our attention right back to the upper arm. Wire parameters, rotation X, going right into the first object's rotation X. We do our connection and then test this out. Now notice what's happening. Because of mirroring this over, it's actually going in reverse. So how are we going to fix that? Well, all we need to do is simple math. Let's head over back to wire parameters. With the control selected, I'll just press Alt 5 to get right back to that. Our control should be loaded up on the left side. Let's go ahead and take the bone and load that up on our right side with refresh so we can get right to the parameter wiring. From there we'll find our rotate X and choose the other. So all we need to do here is multiply by -1. So that's going to be X times -1. Choose update, and now it's going to rotate fine. Okay, so with that done, we can go ahead and again wire the X of our control back to the next bone. And then for our expression, it's simply, this time, -0.5. There we have it. Now we'll set up the last one here. To -0.2. Oh, times -0.2. Connect. Okay, great. Once that's done, we'll finish up here by working on our forearm. So it's rotation X. We'll start with the last bone here. Again, it's going to be times -1. Choose connect. That's working fine. Again, wire parameters. And plug in to our expression times negative 0.5. Connect that. Okay, and we'll take care of the last one. All right, times negative 0.2. Okay, so we have finished setting up our twist bones. What does that mean? That means we're actually done with our rig. For now, the next lesson will be going through, just double checking things, seeing if we need to add anything that'll be more animator friendly. But again, it's just a double check to make sure everything's functioning right. And then afterwards, we can get right into enveloping.